What's up, y'all? Reggie here with another video for the Utopian Project. Let's jump right into a topic that I've been wanting to get into here for the past while, and that is pimping, hoeing, prostitution, etc., etc. And I want to start this off talking about pimpology, pimps, pimping, the ism, etc., etc. So, right off the bat, my stance and understanding is that this is mostly an abusive, bullshit-laden segment of the quote-unquote street life, period. I don't accept it, I don't like it, etc., etc. And the more you look into it, the more you realize you shouldn't either. Most people, I would hope, would come to that conclusion, even though it's been sensationalized to become, invalidated and to become acceptable. I want to get that out of the way, but I also want to say that, watching a lot of these interviews and listening to these people are not stupid, they're not dumb. And if I ever say that something is stupid or dumb, I'm not necessarily talking about the individual, I'm just talking about the logic, because just like with a lot of these young rappers, etc., etc., these people are smart. In many cases, they're well-spoken, well-read. So, there's that. But also, to jump out front, I've come to understand that pimping is it's mostly about relative, abuse, coercion, bullying, and that's the reason why it works. And, psychological and emotional manipulation and abuse, and taking advantage of women. And plenty of these folks will tell you that. Now, I got interested in this subject. For one, I just want to, if I'm watching it and taking this stuff in, I know other people are, and I want to offer resistance to this. And for, again, if a young person came across my videos, I want them to understand why they shouldn't do these things and why they should look at them a certain way and try to get interested in other things in life. But and also, I know a lot of people might, I haven't really got too many views lately, but if you come across this video, you might say, Reggie, what are you talking about this for? This is this is like stupid or whatever. But just like I don't think people understand how much gang activity is probably around them unless you're out in the middle of, Wisconsin somewhere, or Wisconsin, or, hey, I can't even say that, but you know what I'm saying. You're in the middle somewhere, but I don't think people understand how much of this stuff is real and around them and taking place until next thing you know, your daughter is swept up in some local high school case that gets swept under the rug and nobody hears about it anymore. So, and I will say that I know a couple of people, and I know one personally, due to this lifestyle, they will be in jail for a very, very, very long time. Not because of pimping, but because of things that were going on around that lifestyle, etc., etc. But it was directly related, and I don't want to give too many details, but it was directly related to prostitution. A couple of people that know me and know this individual would know what I'm talking about, but out of respect, I'm not really going to get into many details. But so this stuff is real and it's going on now, and I just need people to know that this is just as these people will tell you, especially out in California, and it's going to become more and more the case in other states. Now it's being looked at and charged in many cases as human trafficking. In many cases, there's sexual abuse. I mean, the list goes on. So, I wanted to explain this a little bit, how I kind of got interested in this. And it was because first I saw this guy named Sharp. And plenty of people, if you watch a lot of YouTube or whatever, you'll know who this guy is. But I came across him through my algorithm again, watching this, that, and the third podcast. If they interview people that were on this other podcast, a lot of times YouTube will suggest them, hey, you might like this. This guy was on this podcast, and these two podcasts interview people often. You know, that kind of algorithm. Soft White Underbelly is a show, a podcast, show, whatever, channel. Soft White Underbelly was where I think I first saw him. It's not, I don't think it is. I saw him somewhere else, probably Adam 22, No Jumper. And they referenced the Soft White Underbelly interview. And I went and watched it. And he did, you know, that interview did a lot of numbers. They had him back on shortly after that. And he's just kind of, you know, he's interesting. He's cocky, of course. He's well-spoken. And, you know, whatever. So watching him go through these different channels and interviews, and to where he got enough notoriety where he kind of went out on his own. He had the Shark Tank, a play on the Shark Tank. I think that was under No Jumper, and then I think he broke away or went away from there. But anyway, so I watched a lot of this guy's interviews, and I was just like, you know, I'm watching the interviewers, the guests, the comments, and I'm like, these people really think they are legitimate business people, and that they do something good for the community or for these women. And it's just delusion. And I'm like, these people have delusions of grandeur for sure, and a whole bunch of narcissism and et cetera going on. But, you know, I realized that I was going to come across as kind of picking on Sharp, and I was prepared to say, you know, I'm still prepared to say I haven't done a lot of research on this, but I'm doing a little bit more and more just to be a little bit more well-rounded, because I wasn't going to be able to name other people, other pimps, and to make some of these points, and I thought that would be a little short-sighted. So, you know, I'm starting to when I can and when I feel like stomaching it. But this stuff is entertaining. That's the thing about it, though. So I have a few other names under my belt, and I knew a few other names, but we can get into that later. But, you know, this stuff does not exist if it wasn't for the imbalance of, you know, of physical strength and prowess of females versus males. And the main thing is that women end up needing that different type of mentality usually, and physicality to protect themselves and protect the money. And these people have started to, and obviously that's not the case when it comes to a lot of women, and a lot of women will tell you that. I've seen a handful of women pimps or prostitutes or whatever, and they never felt like they needed a pimp or protection like that, et cetera, et cetera. So, but these people have developed this system, this paradigm of thinking as to why and how they are actually doing something beneficial for these women, and you know, and thus the community, et cetera, and how it's not about greed, laziness, and taking advantage of what should be a natural, what is the natural imbalance that we're supposed to come together and build through when you want to take care of a woman, etc., etc. Except those things are flipped on their head when you find a woman who's distressed and in a certain position in their life, and you flip that and you take advantage of it. But you call it something, you still call it natural. And this is like using the mirror image of something, but taking that 180-degree opposite thing and calling it the truth. And that's basically satanic Luciferianism, Luciferian or whatever, etc., etc. You do the opposite. Which is why they turn the cross upside down, and you know, the Baphomet and whatever else is the pentagram or whatnot upside down. But that's neither here nor there. But it's, well, I can't say that, but you know what I'm saying. So, but these people, one of the things that I see them repeat often is that they feel like they, you know, it's about elevating the woman. So if they have, you know, you help this woman make money, keep more money, and you keep her money for her so that she doesn't blow it, and et cetera, because you know how women are with money. And this is like their logic, like, but this word elevation and elevating comes up often across these interviews and whatnot. And I'm just like, it's like anything else in life where people have validated what they do when what they do is pretty crappy. Just like my other video about selling crack, et cetera, et cetera. It's like these people talk as if they are part of an industry that was out building schools and building homes and helping people get jobs and what. And one of the things was this guy Sharp, man, when he's offended and he feels like you're not respecting the ism and the game, et cetera, and I'm pretty sure it's like this to some extent with all of these people, but I mean, this guy is ready to fight. He's man, he is upset. You don't disrespect the ism. You don't come in being a fake pimp or lying or this, that, and the third. And you know, I'm just like, it just blew me away hearing these people talk. And again, not to pick on him, because as I said earlier, this stuff does not work without basically the same thing that allows slavery to work, and that is fear, coercion, bullying, et cetera, et cetera. And I just watched an interview with Bishop Don Magic Juan, right? He was on Soft White Underbelly. He's been on a lot of places. You can find this guy everywhere. And he literally said that for the game to work, there has to be fear in the woman. And what he says, and I'm sure there's pimps that won't agree with this, but what he says is that, you know, when he literally mentioned when you're whipping her around or beating her around, beating on her or whatever, he mentions that, and he's like, you might tell her that you'll kill ... her if she F's up or disrespects you or whatever else. So that when later you feel like you need to discipline her, and you know, do the things that I mentioned earlier. I don't want to keep repeating that for the algorithm and the AI to auto flag me or something. But when you feel like you need to put your hands on her, et cetera, she needs to think that you might be getting ready to do what you said you would do. Like, this is literally the logic of this man. He just talks about it like it ain't nothing else. But before this gets too ridiculous, because I'm just, you know, again, this stuff is real, and it goes on around us more so than people think it is. And it's just like, I don't want to be a prude and act like, you know, somebody calls themselves a pimp or whatever, like, even though it all comes from the same place, you know, like, hey, don't use that in your rap anymore or whatever, because it's one of those words, like so many other things, it has a dual meaning. So, you know, obviously it can mean a person who can attract their whatever, you know, sexual partner they're interested in attracting. If you can do that with ease, you're considered to be a pimp, right? If you have a high attraction level. Ladies' man, as Don Magic Wand, you know, puts it. And over the years, just like most other things, you give it this side meaning, and it becomes kind of again, benign. It's a benign word, but the actual meaning is still going on too. So it's easier for that word to be used and for that lifestyle to still remain looked at as benign or positive or whatever, because the other word is being used so often, you know, like the word gangster. You know, are you really a gangster, or are you a gangster because you have a gun and you walk around with it and you talk tough? You know, there's different levels to these definitions of things, but we use them because of these different definitions instead of the one definition that is something that's totally bad and horrible, you know. So the word still gets used, but I don't think people really understand that this is real. And again, I know a couple of individuals who are in jail, in prison, because of this lifestyle and choosing to be a part of this lifestyle. And again, we had an issue a couple of years ago locally. There's been a couple of these situations I can think of locally where there's pimping and multiple pimps and people making money off work and scheduling sex work and taking a cut on behalf of the client, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this stuff is real. And, you know, so it's very relevant. It's as relevant as talking about selling crack. I just think it's something that people just don't think. People just don't think is that prevalent, but I think it is. And, you know, I'll talk later about how I could have how easy it is to get into this lifestyle, I think. Or how common a situation can occur. But, you know, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit before this gets too long. But yeah, this stuff is real, and I just want to resist it. Again, if I'm taking it in, I want to be spitting it back out, because I know other people are taking it in, and I just want to tell people. And if any young kids come across, or if you're in dire straits, or you're a woman who's stressed out and you can't make ends meet, don't go down this road, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to do my part to resist this, because I think it is more of a problem than people realize. So anyway, with that being said, I'll end the video here. Maybe I'll do another one real quick. But peace, love, and light. See y'all later.